playing out in the markets. But let's get to a couple of specific stocks and shift focus to the auto sector. Our colleague Parikshit Luthara caught up with Shashank Srivastava, who's the Executive Director at Maruti Suzuki India, to discuss the festive season sales. He revealed that the company saw 20% growth in the period so far. Listen in to excerpts from that conversation.
The Navratra sales were roughly in the industry about 2.2 lakh, and for Maruti around the 1 lakh figure. So it's been a good Navratris, although when you compare it with the same period, Navratri period last year, then it looks like flattish. Last year also the Navratri sales was about 2.2 lakh. But I think the comparison may be misleading because the first 5 days of Navratra last year were also the month end. And in auto industry, the last 5 days of retail is generally very high, irrespective of what month it is.
Okay. Let me also ask you about total sales till now, as far as Maruti goes for the festive season so far, and what have been the bigger drivers in your portfolio?
Yeah, so if you look at the total sales from the festive season, and as you have said, the festive season actually starts on the 17th of August with the Onam month, the Chingam month, which is Kerala. And if you see the sale from that point till the Navratra end, then which is roughly around 72-day period, we have seen a sale of the industry of about 7 lakh units against 5.83 lakh last year. That's a growth of about 19-20%. Maruti Suzuki's growth is also similar. We have sold in this period about 3.11 lakh vehicles against 2.6 lakh vehicles of last year. That's a growth of about 20%. Okay.
Any major products which have really contributed to this growth so far? Is it coming from SUVs or what?
Yes. So largely because, when the festive season started from 17th of August, with the Chingam month in Kerala, and then followed by the Ganesh Chaturthi, and now the Navratras here in the other parts of the country as well. Then, fortunately, we saw that the production could be very good because the semiconductor crisis seems to be easing. And that's the reason why we were able to produce a lot of those vehicles which had a long waiting list for Maruti Suzuki, like the Brezza, the Vitara, the Fronx, and so on. And even the Baleno, Swift and Desire production is also back to normal. And therefore, we were able to get these vehicles, and those have largely contributed to the growth that we have seen so far in the festive season.
Mr. Srivastava, one question on the Delhi government's new policy that has been announced, that all cab aggregators will have only electric vehicles in their fleet by 2030. How do you see this, considering the government's big push towards CNG? Companies like Maruti, in fact, Maruti Suzuki is the biggest seller of CNG vehicles in the market. How do you see this policy?
Yeah, so clearly it's a policy aimed to support electric vehicle adoption in the fleet segment and the taxi segments, clearly. And I think, but it's not necessarily a negative for CNG, because CNG is now not just a taxi or a fleet vehicle. It's largely a very large majority is now in the individual segment. And the reason why it has been accepted so well, in fact, now the penetration of CNG overall in the industry is roughly 15%. The diesel is about 17%, so you can make that sort of comparison. But for Maruti Suzuki, actually 25% of its sales is from CNG. And the reason for that large adoption for CNG is because of the running cost of CNG being less, and the large number of cities and the number of retail outlets for CNG pumps increasing. So it's now almost 8,000. So that's the reason why CNG adoption rate has been higher, and I expect it to be high in the future as well, especially in the individual segment.
Okay, so that's the word coming in from Maruti. On that note, we need to wrap up on the show, but stay tuned. Your stocks once we're back.